So if you're in the market of buying marble, granite, any of the sort, and you're not sure if it's the right one for you or the right one for you to buy, right? What you want to look for first is underneath. When you look underneath, you're either going to see something that's not what's on top, which in this case, some sort of painted plywood. You're going to see a net. Whenever you see a net, where it looks like basically just think of a fishing net underneath. What that tells you is that that material is a little softer and that net gives it more stability. But if you see that the same thing that's on top is on the bottom, regardless of material, you're dealing with a true natural stone. All right, are you in the market to buy a countertop, a table, something for your home that they say is marble? Okay, first and foremost, this table by far shows everything that I try to tell people in reference to what material to buy and to ensure that you're getting what you pay for. So if you take a look at this entire table, look at this setup. This setup in the store probably going to cost you somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And while this is an excellent table, it's important that you understand what to look for. Now, it's not that this is a bad table. It's just understanding what you're buying and if you're okay of paying the price at the price point. But you also want to take into consideration if it's restorable. So what do I mean by that? If you're in the market to buy a marble table, marble, travertine, limestone, all of this applies to all of those because they're calcium carbonate stones. But in this particular case, you want to understand if you're buying a material that's refinishable or not. If you're okay that it's never going to be restored, that's fine. But if you want a table that you can restore as time goes on, then this is not the one for you. So I'm just going to show you a few things that got my attention regarding this table. Number one, take a look at this sticker over here. Come on. This sticker right here is both in Spanish and in English, basically just telling you, be careful, warning, this is a marble table. Don't let anything sit on there for too long. That is absolutely true, except regardless of what kind of marble table you buy, it's going to etch. It's going to stain, unless, of course, you put other different types of products that are out there on the market that have their pros and their cons. This particular table, believe it or not, this is a veneer. So with a veneer marble countertop, this is not restorable. If it was a veneer without a coating, maybe some light restoration. Now, what is a veneer? A veneer is a thin slab of material. So, yes, this is marble. No, this is not treated the exact same way as marble. And once you damage it, you're not going to be able to restore it again. So when you call us and you ask us to come and take a look and you have marks and scratches and etches on a table like this, we won't be able to restore it. Let me show you why. So using my flashlight here, a couple of things is if you look at this, you're going to see that it's illuminating the stone. Okay, what does that say? It really doesn't say very much, right? But once I start going over here to the edge, you see how it's starting to lighten up over here, it's starting to illuminate, and then I pull it back and it stops illuminating. That's because this is not a homogeneous stone. Now, what does that mean? It means that it's not a true stone from the top to the bottom. When I come over to the edge, you could see that it's starting to illuminate because what's happening is that on a veneer, you have a top piece and a side piece. And what they do is that they just slab it together on a different type of board. Now, let me take you underneath. Take a look underneath. When you come under here, look at this. This is not the same material that's on top. This is a different material. It's all completely white. When you're in the market for looking for a true marble anything, it should be homogeneous, which means that it's the same from the top to the bottom. Another telltale, if you come over here, I don't know if you could see in the camera, but do you see this straight line going all the way across? This straight line right there is what indicates the side piece and the top piece. This piece right here is some sort of plywood or wood or whatever material that they put on there to make it this thick, but then they only put veneers on the sides. Another telltale is look at the veining, okay? Look at all the veins. The veins must come from somewhere if it was homogeneous. It's not. Look, the vein came from nowhere. Where's the rest of the vein? It's not on there. It's not on here. Come all the way around the edge. You could see that there's nowhere where the vein is coming from. Also, while I'm at it, you see how this is just kind of smudging? You see that streak that I'm leaving with my finger? That's that residue that's left behind. So, at the same time that I'm talking about this table, the reason why I started doing that little squiggle for you is because I wanted to show you that that's that oil transferring from your skin, from your hands, onto the countertop. If you have that problem, that's where my product, the Daily Cleaner, comes into play. Use that Daily Cleaner, spray it on there. You're not going to have those problems, provided that you keep using it, keeping that off. All right, that was just kind of like a little thrown in there. But basically, so what does all that mean? What am I telling you? What I'm telling you is that this is a veneer marble table. Okay. Now, if you're okay with a veneer and you're okay that you're never going to be able to refinish it, then by all means, if you want to spend three, five, six, $8,000 on this table, by all means, go right ahead because you know what you're buying. That's my main goal, is so that you understand what you're buying. But the truth of the matter is, for $5,000 to $8,000, you can go buy a big slab. Basically, this slab right here, double up top, and then you can slice it yourself or have it fabricated, have it sliced. But for $5,000 to $8,000, you would rather go with a true marble because it's refinishable. Well, on veneers, the problem with it is that it's so thin that when we start to grind this, you could accidentally crack it, break it. That's just one caveat. The second caveat, which I'll take a video a little bit later on, but what you're gonna see on this table is you're gonna see like little circular little specks coming on this countertop. Now, it's going to be very difficult for you to see it on the camera, but what you're looking for is you're looking for these like little wavy, tiny little kind of a wavy look throughout the entire table. When you see that little waviness, that means that there's a baked on coating. There's a coating of some sort on here. And when you have a baked on coating, you can't refinish it. So I'm going to take you over here to this area. Hopefully you could see it. But there's like a bunch of little drip marks going all the way across from here to here on two sections. Don't know which one you see. Those right there, those on marble, on true marble, those would be etch marks. An etch mark is refinishable, but those spots that you see there is on that coating. You have a veneer. The veneer is placed on some sort of board, some sort of plywood, something to just give it depth, give it thickness. On top of that veneer, they put a baked on coating. This baked on coating is what they're going to sell you as etch proof. And it is. They're going to sell you on scratch resistant, which it is. But what they're not telling you is that with a baked on coating, the coating can have markings that look like etchings. So, technically speaking, if you have those little spots and dots on a coated marble veneer table, they look like etches because they're little drips. They're little drips. But those drips aren't etches. They're like some sort of a burn that was created like an etch, but just with a more harsher, normally acidic solution. Right now, I don't know what would make those drip marks here, except for perhaps like a toilet bowl cleaner or something to that sort. CLR, something like that would have created it on there. So whenever you have those little spots on a table that's been coated, you can't refinish it. And then that's where refinishing is no longer an option on a veneer table. So with that said, over here we do have granite. Now with granite, there's really not much to say about this one except I want to illustrate and prove my point. If you look underneath, what I want you to see is I want you to see that what's on top is on the side and is underneath. That right there is a true granite countertop. Yeah, let's take a look right here. So I'm going to capitalize. Oh, this is perfect. So look at this spec. The spec starts on top and it continues over here onto the side. All of these continue. It continues because it goes all the way down. So with that said, I hope that you ended up getting some information out of this. I hope you found it useful. Again, there's nothing wrong with buying this. Just make sure that you know what you're buying. Because in my opinion, if I'm gonna pay $3, $5, or $8,000 for a veneer, I would go to a supplier, a fabricator, and go take a look in their warehouse, look at their stock, pick the stone that you want, then have that made, and it's going to come out to be around the same price. Even if it costs a little bit more, you'll always be able to refinish it, and then you won't have a $3,000 to $8,000 regret later on. I'll catch you on the next one.